Hey everyone, good to be with you all again. Apologies for not posting on Friday, as I said. Life took over, so here we are. Hope you all have a great weekend. Uh, as always, if you can, thumbs up, give us a like, subscribe, and yeah, stay tuned. So today is, I just want to have a chat about, pardon me, some issues that are more like philosophical, I guess, to some extent. I watched a podcast yesterday about the production of cobalt, or production, how it is extracted, so to speak. This guy that was on, I think it was Joe Rogan, he said that the mine actually had a license that was taken up by multinationals, naturally, that stated it could only be mined with heavy-duty machinery, excavators, and so forth. He went there, and there were 15,000 people in an open cut mine digging with their bare hands to dig out this cobalt, which we all use. Well, all. Mainly, people, smartphones, computers. And it's also used, I believe, in EV cars. So, and it made me think, like, what, how do we sort of make sense out of all that now that we know some of this stuff goes on? How do we center ourselves, or how do you, ethically, morally, how do you sort of center yourself, yeah, and so you don't get swayed by either side, either left or right on the political divide. And I went for a walk with my wife, and we had a chat about it. And there's some good points that came out. Like, it's all good and well for us to say with Western privilege, so to speak, in regard to, like, well, we're just not gonna support these companies, which people still do, and we take a moral, ethical stand in regard to, like, that's not right. And my wife made a good point that, well, what's going to happen to those people who, admittedly, are no doubt exploited and make sweet FA in regard to wages, and yet enough to sustain them and their families if they're jobless. We're just taking the high ground at the cost again of people who are already exploited, and we're sort of at a loss. Like, so, how do we what ways can we use to change that without being, the big cowboy, like country stepping in and go, oh, you can't do this, that's not right. However, at the same time, also supporting and funding some of these highly corrupt governments who simply line their own pockets and don't take care of their own people. And then we started to think about, so what about, education is the key to unlocking people to some extent from poverty, health, infrastructure, basic sanitary sort of things. That's one would think would be the way forward. But of course, if the people in power remain oppressive and limit said opportunity, or just tokenistic, then nothing's really going to change. So what, not so much my wife, but what I felt is really that people need to inherently empower themselves to change their immediate circumstances. Sounds nice, doesn't it? But the reality is not different to those people in the mine. How do they do that? They're disempowered. No electricity, no running water. Really basic sort of necessities that not only help us to have a better quality of life, but instill a sense of us that we're, we have certain standing. We're sort of equipped with more than just the mere basics, which is food and shelter. So how do you do that? They have no power. Elections are rigged. The despots and dictators come and go and are nurtured and supported by Western countries for their own reasons, be it natural resources, oil, gold, diamonds, whichever. So where do we place ourselves with this? Do we just go like, well, we won't buy Chinese products for argument's sake, to sort of, because Cobalt, I don't have an EV car, I have a smartphone, So do I just hang on to the smartphone till it doesn't work anymore? Probably not the worst idea. Don't upgrade. That's probably a good idea. Hang on to your stuff. Don't follow the trends. But how do we philosophically ground ourselves and go, how do I support and nurture change without losing myself in it? Go strikes or join a particular political party or movement is fantastic. I'm certainly not one to suggest people shouldn't do that. But I think there's a danger that we sort of lose out on our own patch as well, who we are as individuals and how we convey that sort of moral and ethical stance to those around us. Because the world seems smaller, but it's not really. This shit's been going on for decades, centuries, basically. And maybe we have to concede that there's just enough self-centeredness, evilness, greediness in the world that this will just keep on carrying on. Human trait to be richer, better, stronger, whatever it is. And those of us who are not in those situations are meant to grease the wheel, I guess. That may be what we have to concede, that's our role. Perhaps. I still think that we should support education, health, equality as much as we can in other countries. But how you do that is not easy, because it needs to come from within, some kind of internal revolution, I think. When people go like, this is shit, not doing this. But again, easier said than done. African regimes are not known for being soft and cuddly and open to dialogue. They get butchered and people just disappear, for these elites to maintain the status quo. So it sucks. I don't really know how to, where to frame it in my own mind. Like, well, I should do something about it. This is fucking wrong. It's not right that people get, exploited and just have absolutely miserable lives for the sakes of a few thousand, perhaps, super rich elites that are often connected through family or relationships or something. Or do I just acknowledge it and pressure my own politicians and government to become more of an influence in regard to what other countries do? I'm not sure. It's a slippery slide too. Where do you draw the line? Like, we just do this, but we won't do that. It's I find it very difficult, I have to say, but also enjoyable to have this conversation with my wife. And what I generally come up with is that I just need to take care of stuff that I have some kind of control over, like how I treat people in my life, how I look after myself, the environment to some extent, how I take care of my mental health, my physical health, all that sort of stuff. Because to some extent we are tokens in a huge game, and some things we can sort of do something about. Other stuff we really can do very little. I wouldn't say nothing, but little. So yeah, it's a sort of confronting and self-questioning discussion today, where you feel like you're the devil's advocate. This is all right, but this is not. But even the stuff that's bad is better than